So here's how to book meetings through cold call for your SMMA, even if you're just a beginner. So cold calling was always a huge and genuine fear of mine. I was fine absolutely sending DMs. Whenever it was time to actually call up a prospect, things got messy. I would first look for every excuse on not to call them, but if there was none, I reluctantly dialed their number into my phone. Each ring felt like an eternity, and I was hoping that they wouldn't pick up. Sometimes they wouldn't, and I would be super relieved, but when they did, it was game time, and I had to book the appointment in with the prospect. I'd be as cool as a cucumber when actually speaking, but listening, all I could hear was my heart was pounding. And nearly every time I thought I was going to get the call, all I received was a polite no. And at first I thought this was simply, just a part of the game. What I didn't know was that I just sucked at cold calling in general. In modern time, I've met a lot of people who are extremely good at sales, and through RC and mentors, they have taught me all the ropes of cold calling and how to effectively actually book people on calls when you're chatting with them. So today I just wanted to show you guys absolutely everything that I've learned so you can improve your sales skills the same way that I did. And to start off, I'd like to tell you about the worst compliment a salesperson can receive, and that is that they are a good salesperson. It means that they've been read and that the prospect is seen behind the curtains of the show. Oftentimes, it can result in a not close, and the prospect will say no. And this was the mistake that I was making. The prospect and I didn't understand the hierarchy in between us, and I was selling to the prospect. Right? Example of this. So let me show you. After your opener, going into an interrogation about their business, asking them, they do this, they do that. Oh, how long you guys been in business? Oh, what's your revenue? All these things, we're just interrogating the prospect or not providing any context as to why the call is going on or the questions that you're asking. And that is what hierarchy selling can look like when it is used in the wrong way. Let me show you an example of that. Pull my face over here. So on any given day when we're chatting with the prospect, this is going to be us. And we are down here. We are starting our business. We have zero testimonials. We have zero cases. We have nothing, right? We have nothing to our name. We were just trying to make it in the marketing world. And our prospect is probably up here, right? The prospect has been in business for a few years. They're making good enough money to put up ad spend, and they got a social media profile. They're doing pretty well, right? They have a business. So that us who are just starting our business and don't really have any results or case studies versus them who've been running their business for quite a while now, they're a lot higher up on the hierarchy than us. And when we try and speak with them as an equal, asking them questions about revenue, it's like shooting straight across, right? And if we shoot straight across, we land at their feet or even below it, and they just can't take it seriously. Right? It's the same way when we ask all these questions, even below them. Hey, what's your revenue? Hey, what's your pain point? What are you struggling with right now? Oh, I'm sure I can solve this. I guarantee you this. I guarantee you that. They don't really care. Whereas if we were to have an approach where we, go on the under end, we would be a lot more better off. But I'll show you exactly how that actually can be applied. Let's dive back in. Applying this dynamic and this strategy to my delivery was what drastically improved my actual calling abilities because I understood that the prospect was up here and I was down here and I could properly use it. Understanding how to leverage it, I could, find new leverage points and one that persuaded them in a genuine way, one that didn't trick, mislead, or sell them, and one that simply conveys the value you have and gives the prospect a fair opening to capitalize and take you up on your offer. Right? Because before, I'd get appointments, but it'd feel like a trick, right? It feels like I got them on the appointment. I tricked them to get on the call. But using this, it feels like the prospect wanted to get on the call with me, and that now I was actually doing a value-based business and not just a guy who got lucky. We'll call this story selling, right? It's the reason why if you ever ran a lemonade business as a kid, clothing brand, whatever else you did, some of the first and the best customers that you had were actually your family and friends. And chances are it wasn't because of your product, it was because of you and your life story. So, Alex, how can we create the exact same dynamic with the prospects that we actually speak with? And the answer is that we need to create a compelling story. So it doesn't matter if you've had an eventful life or if you've never been outside your room. It's all about the delivery and doing this. Making your story compelling with the prospects is just done through optimizing for relatability, because if the prospect can understand and resonate with your situation, they will trust you far more. And that is why a good niche could be a cheat code if you already have experience and relatability built up. Whether you have that or not, here's how you craft your masterpiece. First, I want you to write down all the big touch points of your life. I know a huge touch point for me was playing football, playing soccer, and not making teams, not doing all these things. And I just write down all those touch points, things that change the trajectory of your life at important moments. Because these are the building blocks that we're going to use for situation statements. So the next thing we're going to do is crystallize our situation. Here's an example of how I would do this in a situation that I was in and I would sell. right? So I'm a 16-year-old, never quite felt like the 9 to 5 path was for me. For that reason, I began to pursue my entrepreneurial dreams. I found myself a mentor and began to work with him to find out where I can provide value in the market. I played soccer all my life, so when I realized that I can help club get more business, I jumped at the opportunity to help. My plan is to work free to gain experience, shake hands, and have legitimate skills in a world full of marketing claims. That's why I reached out to work free. All I ask in return is a potential testimonial if I deliver you results. And that can be like a situation statement about who you are, what you are doing, that will give the prospect a lot of context, understanding, and resonation based on your situation and what you're actually telling them. So after we've put our story together, it is now time to focus on the delivery, because again, that is a lot more important than the actual story itself. Different people relate to different things, and it will be important to engage what areas of your story you should emphasize based on the person and resonation that you're speaking with. So if a prospect was an immigrant who started his business, you could potentially relate to, if you were an immigrant yourself, how moving to a new country was difficult for you. And right, you get the point of how you can do this, right? Understanding who your prospect is, what they actually value, what they've been through, so that you can, again, relate and emphasize that. So once we've nailed the initial delivery, it's time to battle test what we've got. The funny thing about this strategy is that it can be used in absolutely any sales situation: warm calling, cold calling, sales, whatever it might be. That is the power of authenticity selling. And using all this information, my big ask of you is proper application. So here's how I would structure an actual cold call. Pull up the MS Paint again. I'm going to move over. Cool. So here's how I would go about structuring a cold call. So let's say we jump onto a call with the prospect. And phase number one is going to be, just the icebreaker, right? This is a very important part of the call. The icebreaker, the best way that I've always found to break the ice, if we go back to understanding the hierarchy, if you know the prospect's first name, a great one is, hey, how you been? Hey, name, how you been? Hey, John, how you been? Right? That is a great one. Hey, is this da-da-da? Always very good icebreakers. Right? So next thing is going to be the situation statement, right? So the situation statement was the one that I mentioned about my story, 9 to 5, found all the mentors, right? And then after the situation statement is when I like to give them opportunity to opt out. And I also mentioned that in the icebreaker as well, right? So icebreaker, hey man, how's it going? Do you have 5 minutes, or are you busy right now? Should I give you a call later? Right? So you should give an opt-out ability, right? Give them the ability to get out of the call, so that you can actually draw them in. Because a lot of the time, what a lot of cold calls feel like is, if, and I know Dylan used this as an analogy, if you were to be invited into a room, and as soon as you walked in, the guy runs behind you, slams the door, locks it shut. Right? That's what it feels like getting on a lot of these calls and sales situations. So you're always going to give people the actual option to opt out at the very beginning. Then I would go into my situation statement, who I am, da-da-da. Then my third point here would be to give them a litmus test, and then also another opt-out, litmus/opt-out. So give them an opportunity to get out again. And then if not, I would begin the actual phase of asking them about their business, a little bit about what they do, and then also explain the initials of my service, and then transition. So the way I would do this is questions, right? And these questions are not going to be down or straight hierarchy questions. They're going to be up hierarchy questions that allow us to climb. Oh, how long have you guys been in business? Oh, I saw you hosting this event. Tell me more about that. Right? Just learning a little bit more about their business, everything that they have going on. And then it would be the service transition, where you say, here's how I would do it, just on the brief outline. If you got and I'll explain the close in just a second. So I'll save that. So service transition, and then the close. So the close is one that a lot of people, including myself, used to mess up on a lot, right? And the thing about closing the actual appointment here is that it can only be a vehicle of what's going to be delivered. So the end destination with this should not be, right? So end destination over here, this should not be the appointment. Right, and a lot of people position this as the appointment. And as far as the prospect knows, they're just going to get on a call with them to waste their time. What you want to do is you want to, position the appointment as the goal of the vacation, and the appointment now becomes this rainbow over here that allows the prospect to go from place A to place B, the vacation, right? But the appointment should not be the end destination. So part of doing this is showing that you have a very, very busy schedule, showing that you've got, you care about time, you care about your calendar, you have things to do, etc. And the way that I like to do this is, hey, I got to run to the gym in about an hour or so. Do you mind if I give you just another 15-minute down? I can explain a little bit more in depth about how this works. Or, if you've got I've got 15 minutes before we're doing X, we can jump on a quick little call, maybe 5-10 minutes or so, just so I can screen share and show you some of the stuff I've done already. Right. But the biggest thing is that you want to drop the time guard, because a lot of people are scared of having their time wasted. Right. I know it is a genuine concern of a lot of business owners. So you want to drop the time guard and then position a short call. And if you position the short call and you do a good job of opening that call, once again, explaining the service, explaining everything you do again, it will definitely go over that 5 to 10 minute mark. But because you both agreed, you're both busy, and you both stay on the call, then it is completely fine. And that is how I would go about actually executing upon the cold call, and how you actually sell using your story instead of, the salesy approach that I messed up on. So I hope you learned from my mistakes, and I hope that the value that I provided was worth the time that I stole from you today. Peace.